Reality Winner leaked a secret report on Russian election hacking to the media and will now serve more than 5 years in prison. That's the longest sentence ever imposed for this kind of violation. The former NSA contractor and Air Force linguist has been held in a Georgia jail since last June and is currently awaiting transfer to a federal prison after her sentencing last week. The document Winner leaked to The Intercept was the first time the public learned that the Russian government tried to infiltrate state election systems in 2016.
She is the first person to be sentenced under the Espionage Act since the Trump administration took office. Only on CBS This Morning, Reality is calling us now from the Lincoln County Jail in Georgia for her first television interview. Per her plea agreement, she cannot answer questions about any classified material or her motivation for leaking the document. And joining us at the table is her mother, Billie Winner-Davis. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us. Reality, thank you for joining us on the phone as you were there in jail. Let me ask you this, because it was the document that you leaked that really brought everyone's attention to this idea about the Russians trying to infiltrate and attack our state voting systems, which at the time was not common knowledge. What has it been like to see the Russia investigation unfold from behind bars?
It's been a little vindicating, but also frustrating. I know that had I been out and allowed some kind of opinion about it, I would be doing my due diligence as a citizen, contacting my senators. But as it is, I've just been behind bars, kind of a spectator, and kind of a sounding box to other people's opinions. When I call people, they're so frustrated, or, you know, the mail I get, people are just venting to me about the state of the country.
You leaked these documents to The Intercept, and the editor-in-chief, Betsy Reed, has said this about you: instead of being recognized as a conscience-driven whistleblower whose disclosure helped protect U.S. elections, Winner was prosecuted with vicious resolve. Why do you think the government is making an example out of you?
Well, it was mid-2017, and I was the first one. However, as of Friday, you know, even our commander-in-chief, President Trump, has kind of come out and said, wait a minute, this is really unfair. There's this double standard here, and for that I can't thank him enough, because for 16 months, those words, so unfair, were actually not allowed by either myself or my team or my family to really say out in the public. So I just can't thank him enough for finally saying what everybody has been thinking for 16 months.
That's right. The President of the United States, Donald Trump, tweeted this: ex-NSA contractor to spend 63 months in jail over classified information. Gee, this is small potatoes compared to what Hillary Clinton did. So unfair, Jeff. Double standard. I think he's referring to Jeff Sessions, the Attorney General. Do you believe you now have the support of President Trump?
I don't like to assume anything as to what's going on in his head, but the small potatoes was a breath of fresh air. It really made me laugh. It reminded me of, you know, me and my own family. We try to make a joke out of everything. We laugh every single day, no matter how bad things get, and he really gave a whole sense of humor to the thing, because it is quite bizarre.
Reality, you said you feel vindicated by what's happened in the Russia investigation, but you've also said this was a mistake. Was this mistake worth it?
You know, what I've learned in my time here is that you can disagree with someone till you're blue in the face. You can talk all you want, but what really matters is how you treat the person next to you. You know, kindness is an art that can be practiced anytime and anywhere. And what you do in your community, no matter how small it is, if you help just one person that day, you change the whole world. So I just wish that that's where my mindset had been 2 years ago.
Well, the prosecutors said that the community you were a part of was the national security community, and that what you did wasn't just within your own world, but that it threatened sources and methods. Do you agree with that framing?
You know, I really can't comment on that.
Reality, on Twitter, you reportedly called the president once an orange fascist. You've been very critical of him. What do you think of him now, and are you hoping for a presidential pardon?
I'm not going to sit around and wait for blessings. And like I said, I don't like to assume what goes on in his head. But back to what I said before is that, back then I was all about what I disagreed with. And what I've learned now is that disagreeing doesn't get you anywhere. And that no matter if I walk out of this place tomorrow or in 48 months at the end of my sentence, no matter who's president, my life is going to be dedicated to community service. And, after I read the tweet and thought, that wild hope of a presidential pardon, I thought, no, I need to pray, I need to go back to God, and I need to just think about the next step and when I can hug my mom again, because, 30 minutes through glass on phones that sometimes don't even work, that's not enough. I just need my family in my arms again, whether it's on visitation in prison or, by some grace of God that I get out of here sooner. But I don't like to ask for anything or assume that anything is going to happen.
Reality, just to remind people who you are, how many languages do you speak?
Georgian right now, but yes, I've been educated in 3 other languages besides English.
3 other languages, and you were involved in a lot of different intelligence matters. I know after you were arrested, you said you didn't think about the consequences of what you did. Now that you know the consequences, do you regret leaking those documents?
Yes, deeply.
And what would you tell anybody else who is in a similar position to the one you were in?
Go volunteer in your community, or just walk down the street shaking hands with everyone that you know. I think that I was isolated at that time, and psychologically, you're not going to make the best decisions, and just realize that there are other people out there for you, and that what matters is just what we do every single day. Like, you can change the world before breakfast just by being kind to somebody.
Reality, you've been in jail now for more than a year. What is your day-to-day like? And do you feel like you can change someone's life, or you are changing anyone's life before breakfast there?
I really do try. I try to make sure the ladies are up for breakfast because it's the best start to any day. But we do try to help. Several of the girls, before they leave or go on to wherever they're going, I give them my mom's phone number, and they check in with us. And I've got my little sister KK. I know she's been on Twitter a few times talking about me, and my other sister Sarah got out a couple weeks ago. She's doing really well, and we just try to keep tabs on everybody. Like, I don't let people just disappear out of my life like smoke. I really do hold on to each and every person that I've met here.
Reality, I just wanted to remind our viewers about what you did, because according to prosecutors, you printed out this classified report on May 9th. That was the day that President Trump fired James Comey, the director of the FBI. Were you aware of Comey's firing? Did that influence why you then sent this document to The Intercept?
I don't really remember anything from that month, so I really can't comment on any of that. I'm sorry.
Reality, you signed up, you served in the Air Force, and you dedicated part of your life to your country, and yet the prosecutors in the case quoted you as saying you hate America. Where do you stand on your country right now?
I love my country more than ever, and when they tried to take away, just verbally take away my military service, I think that took a part of me away that I haven't really seen in, 16 months, and it broke my heart more than anything else. My service to the Air Force was everything I've ever wanted, and it was amazing. It was the best 6 years of my life, but I love my country. I'm a patriot. I care about this country, and I want to make it as good as it can get, but taking little words or statements out of context, they were able to, try to damage my character, and it took everything I had not to kind of believe their narrative, because when you're sitting there in that orange uniform and they're the ones saying, telling you who you are, it's surreal. You start to believe them, and if I didn't have the support of my family or people around the world saying, we see through this, I would have been lost.
Reality, you'll be about 30 years old, a little older when you do get released from jail. What do you plan to do with the rest of your life?
Well, I am going to start getting a bachelor's in sociology and social welfare, and hopefully move back down to South Texas. And, I'm a Texan by heart, pardon me. It's very early and I'm nervous. And kind of go into social work the way my mom did my whole life. I know that we have a refugee situation on our border, and just if I can't change the system or the legislation, then I want to make sure that I can start nonprofit programs for these children and parents and young adults to make sure that every day that they spend counts and that they get to work towards their American dream, even if it's unsure that, it'll come to fruition or not, so that, their lives are enriched as well.
Can you describe, and I know you're talking about the future and changing your profession. Why did you join the military in the first place, and how did you end up at the National Security Agency?
I wanted to be a linguist. I wanted to know certain languages and work in that field to have an understanding.
You have 1 minute left.
Oh, that's Nurse Ratchet.
That's the automated system at the prison that tells us how much time is left in the phone conversation. Go ahead, Reality.
So I wanted to serve, and I wanted to be working right away. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to go to college for 5 years. I just wanted to be about it, and they gave me such a profound perspective of the world that is absolutely priceless. I think everybody should serve at least 4 years. But yeah, it's hard to explain in 30 seconds.
All right. Well, Reality Winner, I know this has been your first television interview and joining us from inside jail. We thank you so much for spending your time with us. I know now that they cut off the time, so thank you again and hope to talk to you soon.
All right, cool. Have fun, Mom. I love you.
Thank you for using Securus. Goodbye.
Joining us now is Reality's mother, Billie. I know you get to speak with your daughter every day, but let me just ask you to hear what she has been accused of: espionage, treason against her own country. That's been difficult.
That's been something that from the beginning I was fighting, and I didn't want for her to be convicted or to plead guilty of espionage. Espionage implies that you're a traitor, that you're a spy, and that is absolutely not anything that she did.
Well, I think about Reality Winner because I'm not sure everybody remembers who she is, although the president tweeted about her on Friday.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. That was, to me, if he does nothing more, he at least validated us, because yes, I believe that her treatment has been unfair from the beginning. The way that they have handled her case from the beginning, the charges that they brought against her from the beginning, the way that they, characterized her as a villain. And
you don't believe she's a villain. You believe she's a patriot because she was the first to really raise awareness about what the Russian intelligence unit was trying to do in terms of influencing our election system.
I do believe that. I believe that the information that she leaked should have been released. I don't understand why our intelligence community didn't release it to us. I don't understand why they didn't warn the states that were at risk.
But when you have a job like hers, you agree not to leak this kind of thing. So while the treatment and the sentence may be harsh, and that's what the president was talking about, he and others would say the system can't work if individual members of it who've promised not to leak this kind of information just on their own decision decide to go ahead and hand it out.
I understand, and I agree with that, yes. I agree that there are rules, there are procedures, there are laws, and did Reality violate that? Yes, she did. But is she guilty of espionage? She's not guilty of espionage.
But she pleaded guilty to it.
She did. That was her only choice, though. Yes.
If she's not guilty of espionage, what then is she guilty of if you say she made a mistake?
There's other charges that they could have looked at, such as mishandling of classified information. that would have been more appropriate for her.
Do you think the size of her sentencing is meant to send a message to anybody else who would do this?
I know it is, because the prosecution said it in their sentencing memo. They said it there in the courtroom last Thursday, and the judge also then repeated it, that nobody thinks that Reality Winner is at risk of doing anything again, but they needed to send a message. They needed her sentence to be a deterrent.
All right, Billie Winner-Davis, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.